Hello everyone, I'm Charles. Welcome to Graphic Design Quick Start. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how to create faux HDR in Photoshop. This episode is a two-part whereby we'll be taking this lady's image to this zombie look. But before we do that, we'll first create a faux HDR, that is taking the image from this. Let me show you how this is done. Let us switch to starting composition. The first thing you need to create a faux HDR is convert the image to lab. Go to the controls panel. Make sure your image layer is active. Go to image, mode, lab color. The next step, you need to convert our layer to a smart object. Right click on an empty area on the right of the layer. Convert smart object. Go to image, adjustments, choose shadows and highlights. By default, the show more option will be unchecked. Crank the highlights up high since our image has so many highlights to around 85. You can always use whichever figure you need depending on how much highlights you have in your image. Let us also crank the shadows to around 100%. Check the show more option so that you have access to more settings. Increase the highlights radius to 50. Increase the shadow radius to 70. This helps us spread the effect so that we avoid the halo around her head. Let us increase the tone of values of the highlights to 60. Let us also work on the midtone to increase the contrast. Take it to 50. Click OK. Improving the contrast of the image also brings up the saturation. To work on the overtop saturation, go to the light of the highlight effect. Double click on the double slider icon. Go to mode. Change from normal to luminosity. Click OK. The next step should be done in the RGB mode. But when you go to image, mode, RGB, we will lose most of the punch in the lab image. To work around that, when still keeping the lab mode, right click on an empty space on the light of the layer. Put the smart object inside another smart object. Click convert smart object. Without the layers inside remain in lab mode, while we convert the entire composition into RGB. Go to image, mode, RGB color. Click on don't rasterize. Now let us darken the midtone. We will be darkening the midtones around the dark reds, but first we need to select them. Go to select, color range. Pick the midtones in the areas we have saturated red along the nose, the lips, cheek. Also remember to increase the fuzziness to around 100. Click OK. We will darken the midtones using the levels adjustment. Go to the layers panel, go to the bottom and click on the white black icon. Click on levels. The first thing you need to do is drop the second output level to 170. Go up to the gamma values. Hold shift and press the down arrow 3 times consecutively to drop the value to 0.7. That was before and this is after. Let us add another level adjustment to brighten up the image a little to make sure it does well in print. Go to the bottom of the layers panel. Click on the white black icon to access the adjustment layers. Click on labels. Drop the white point value to 230 to brighten up everything. That was before. This is after. Let us rename our image layer to HDR. Click on the HDR layer to make it active. And to achieve a tactile for HDR, make sure you sharpen your image. Go to filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. Crank the amount to 250%. The radius 2.0. Remove set to lens blur. Click OK. Double click the double slider icon on the right of smart sharpen. Change the mode to luminosity to make sure there is minimal color noise. Click OK. Let me play safe a couple of times to switch to full screen mode. That's it, how to create a HDR image in Photoshop using the lab mode, the highlight and shadow filter, levels adjustment, and some smart sharpening. Feel free to join me in the next episode as we convert the HDR image into a zombie look. That's it for today. Like, share, and consider subscribing to our channel so that you don't miss out on our next episode.